I'll mix it up. Instead of doing a game next, I will. So the op actually also sent me some Rubik's cubes. Now, before they sent these my way, like they were kind of asking what games I was interested in. I was like, well, I collect dice, I collect cubes because I can solve cubes. Like a recent cube I picked up myself was this textured cube. So each side is different, so you can solve it without necessarily looking at it. I've been solving cubes for over 10 years now. I'm not a speed cuber by any means, but I enjoy solving cubes. So they sent me a couple of cubes this way. We got the Harry Potter one, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and then the Disney Villains one. So let's open these up, look at the different sides. We'll mix them up, and then probably throughout the night I'll solve them and show off how well they solve. But being that the pictures are new, it may take me an extra moment to be able to solve them. So I'm not going to worry about trying to solve them fast. It does look like there's some tape on these, so they're not going to just pop open, which is good. So you could easily gift these without issue. See if I can get this open. Figure out the tape edge without issue. There we go. So it's taped where that basically envelope piece goes in on the plastic. James is saying, got a cube about 6 months ago, spent most of the time on the shelf. Fair enough. There's a time where my cubes stayed on the shelf and not played with as often, but now I keep them around my desk as a fidget toy. So it looks like it comes with a standard triangle base, so you can show it off at an angle once you solve it. So this is a Harry Potter one. Looks like one side we got Harry Potter casting a spell. We got Voldemort also casting a spell. We have Hermione, Draco, Ron, which side am I missing? There we go. And Bellatrix. Okay, so testing how tight they are. It's not super loose, not super tight. I've had worse. I've had a lot better. But being that these are custom fun cubes with pictures on them, you're not going to be playing with these a lot, so having it be like a speed cube isn't necessary. I'll just show you. I have a couple of other cubes over here. I'll show you how well they spin. This is kind of a mid-sized spin one. Has a little bit of tightness to it. This just for general fidgeting. It's not super loose. This newer one I talked about having. This is the really fast, loose one where I can snap it more than a quarter turn with this slight push. But if you see I do that with this, it makes it not even a quarter turn. But that these are pictures and that I don't recognize most of the pictures. Well, I know who they are in the pictures, but it's not like pictures I'm intimately familiar with. Solving this is going to take additional effort as I work around what each picture was later again. So I'll set these aside, set this aside mixed, and probably solve it later. But that's these are stickered, so keep that in mind if this is something that interests you. But that will go off to the side, and let's take a look at this one now. I'm really glad that they did a villains one for this. In general, yeah, the Disney princesses and all the other characters get a lot of forefront and praise, but the villains are what you need in the movies and to counteract the princesses, because it's kind of like without the bad, what defines the good. Now, I'm not saying the villains are perfect in any way, but they're still fun. The artwork is wonderful for the villains. So in the same way I enjoy like Disney Villainous, I enjoy a good unique option. And then so having the Rubik's villains pictures is a nice unique option as opposed to what you might consider for Disney. So again, it's going to have the clamshell plastic case. So we got Hades, Ursula, we got Maleficent, and I just blanked on her name. From The Little Mermaid, we have, I should know her name, Ursula. And then on this side we have, from Princess and the Frog, we have, let me know if you know his name. I think the colors could have been brighter. Those look quite dark. It is a little dark, but the camera probably doesn't help it a ton, because the light adjustment. Yeah, the colors on this are probably a little bit darker than necessary. So it does lose a little bit of the detail in the background of the artwork, especially as you start to split it up across the seams. You're losing some of the detail anyway. Probably the best pictures on this villainous one is going to be Cruella and Hades, just how bright they are. And then let's not forget about from Snow White, the Evil Queen. But I do like how they integrated from like a standard cube. If you look at a standard cube, you typically have white, and then you have a red side, blue side, orange side, green side, and then instead of going yellow, they went purple. So they tried to stick to standard Rubik's colors for the most part, which is nice, and the same orientation of those colors. So this one is actually going to be easier for me to solve. I didn't check how close the other color sides were on the Harry Potter cube, but in general, there's kind of a reddish hue, a whitish hue, greenish hue. So I'll have to definitely verify that. But I can tell that this one already, that these sides are different enough in color that I'll be able to quickly differentiate, even if I don't know what the picture is, once I mix it. This one is definitely spinning better too. You can hear it. Yeah, it's getting almost a full spin pop. So this one's going to be easier to play with. But from my experience with Rubik's Cubes in general, each one you open is going to feel slightly different. There's no guarantee you're going to open one that is loose or tight when spinning it. So it may just be that the Harry Potter one that I opened happened to be a tighter fit one. A lot of that deals with the tolerance of the plastic components that they use to assemble these. If their tolerance is broader, and then a lot of them come out on the slightly larger side when assembling, it's going to make it a tighter fit. If you assemble it with a lot of slightly smaller pieces, they fit looser. So it's finding that balance of where within the tolerance range they are from an engineering standpoint of what can make them loose or tight. But yes, I'll definitely have fun with this villains one because the color variation is easy to differentiate between sides. Because if I just look at this now, I can see white, I can see purple, I can see reds, I can see greens, orange, and so they'll be quick and easy to identify which side it belongs to. Even if I'm not like, oh, that's this character in the picture first. I can find the color first and then form my picture, which does make it easier to work out. So this one, you can kind of see some greens, you can see some orange, some purplish, a little bit of white. But with the faces and the way they've done that, it's not always obvious what color it's going to be. So that one may take a bit more effort to solve later. But I'm going to set those aside. Definitely going to have fun with those. And because my nephew has just started getting into Rubik's Cubes and playing with cubes, as he's been around town at my brother's, not too far from me, I've been getting to teach him how to solve the cube. And so like the first time he was doing it, he didn't get very far. And then like slowly taught him more and more. And then the last time he visited, he was like on top of it. And he was being able to solve it as well as I can, essentially. And without me walking through the steps with him anymore. So it'll be cool to show him these and see if he can solve them without telling him what the pictures are and kind of go from there. So that's going to be fun to do that with. So next up, let's go and look at what else the op has sent me. So we got some different dice that they sent me and some game stuff. So I'm going to take a look at some dice. The big die that they sent me is the Mighty 9 20-sided die. So if you are interested in D&D at all, of course, you probably know it's a D20 based game. Critical Role is one of the major Twitch streaming live play. I think they've switched to a pre-recorded play, but one of the most heavily produced live play games. Mighty 9 was their season 2, and so all of these characters shown here are from those characters. They're the Critical Role main logo, and then it looks like the Mighty 9 logo, I think, is what they used for that right there. So let's see what they say about it. So Critical Role, Mighty 9 20-sided die, bring it literally to the table. Take your very own polyhedral piece of Critical Role's epic second campaign to your next session with the official Mighty 9 20-sided die. Stand out among fellow adventurers with a D20. They'll have you mingling in metagaming like there's 9 tomorrow. And then, so if you did not have a chance to watch the season 2 of that, the Mighty 9 came about initially as a joke. This is not spoiler based, but near the beginning of the season, they rolled a lot of 9s, be it added up to 9 or the die they would roll was a 9, and so they just kept saying 9, 9, 9, and so it became a joke that they were the Mighty 9 because they rolled 9 so much, and then it just kind of flew into 9, the German spelling of 9, because of the way one of the characters was played. It was kind of scholarly, almost German-esque, and so that's where the 9 stemmed from. Kind of cool to see how it developed, but also cool to see a official D20 die. Of course, this is much larger than a regular D20. So let's bust it out and see how it rolls. No, it has some nice weight to it. A little bit of a bounce because of the weight. Of course, rolling on neoprene, so it does minimize some of that. So what is the D24? So primarily, if you play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, the majority of rolls you make is with a D20. Someone might say make a check. If you can see something, if you can do something, or if you make an attack roll, you typically use a D20. So to have a D20 officially set for Critical Role, it just kind of makes sense because they're all about D&D. Yep. So yeah, so they themed it and made sure it was a D20 instead of just a D6 or something, because who would not want to have a giant D20 to roll while playing D&D, especially if you're a fan of Critical Role. So I've had a good roll and a not so good roll so far. But they on this die, they do replace the 20 with the Mighty 9 logo. So it's not the Critical Role logo, it is the Mighty 9 logo actually on the die. But nice, decently weighted. If you look closely, there's actually, it's not just a solid orange. There's like almost like veins of reddish hue color throughout that. So it does make it a bit more interesting to look at. The closer you look, the more you see. Of course, it's an engraved numbering, not printed, which is nice. So you can actually feel all of that. So that was the D20 Critical Role die. Let's see what other dice they sent me. They sent me some of the Rainbow Disney collection dice. These are actually has like Mickey and Goofy and Daisy and Donald on them. So let's bust these out and see what else is on them. So this was a celebration of Pride Month of 2021 and the company's Pride collection. Disney is donating funds as part of their ongoing commitment to organizations around the world that support LGBTQ communities. And so, while I myself am not part of that, I'm an ally in that I want to welcome everyone here to the table and be as inclusive as possible. So, of course, I see no reason not to show these off, and of course, they're beautiful in their own right. And James is saying that several sets of dice, so that it's cool not really listen to CR, but niece likes it. Okay, nice. And you're saying your niece would like this set, may look into getting for. Okay, well, yes. So I know you can for sure find this on their online site for sure. Let's bust it open and we'll show off all the sides to it, and so you have a better idea how much she would like it. So it is a set of 6 dice. They are printed dice. So on each side, some of the numbers some of it's a little dark to read. But Mickey is this one side. So that means, where's the 2 going to be? 2 is going to be Pluto. Nice. I like that we have Pluto included in this. And then 3 is Daisy. Easy to read that number. Each of these sides is rainbow colored across the silhouette. And then where's 4? 4 is going to be Goofy. 5 is going to be Donald. It is a little bit harder to read some of these darker numbers in these corners. And then last but not least is going to be Minnie at number 6. Again, a little bit hard to read that number in the corner. All these are printed. Nice, decent weight. I do like how it's the black background, primary color with the rainbow on it. It does help those colors pop a bit more. Yeah, I agree. I do wish some of the numbers were easier to read. This would be one of those sets that it's not necessarily going to be used a lot. It's more about showing off that you have this set. Kind of one of those collector's things if you just like to either collect specific sets or just get a lot of different ones. This is one of those just unique sets that you can hold on to for sure. But yes, I agree. Some of the numbers could have been made more legible. Like you have Daisy right here where they made the number 3, but it also looks like they made each number a different color. That's potentially what they were going for, because you got number 1 is red, you got a green 4, you got a purple 6, yellow 3, blue 5, and then kind of an orange 2. So they were going for each number as a different color and not necessarily make them consistent. So I can see why they did it, but I agree, because of the black background, they are harder to read. But they do roll well, so if you really want to use them, you could. They're all printed, so they're going to be balanced. But ultimately, this is going to be one of those collector-style sets where you have it for the fun of it, or to say I have this, or to, of course, support Disney and their commitment to organizations and supporting LGBTQ. The op also sent me some card sleeves. I'd have to pull the game off the shelf, but they sent me card sleeves for Hogwarts Battle. Both the standard cards and all the additional odd-shaped cards. So now I can actually sleeve that game, which is nice. especially with the deck builder where you're going to shuffle a lot and be handling the cards a lot more often. Sleeves are nice. And what's also critical to point out is the back of these sleeves right here, as you can see right here, are the same art style as the cards in Hogwarts Battle. And so you're not losing out on seeing the back of the card and the art they put into it. But that's also important because I've noticed, I think with my copy and some other people have noticed that when you get the expansions, the coloration of the back of the expansion cards are just a slightly different brown occasionally. I can't say every set is, but I will say having card sleeves makes it so they all look the same when you're shuffling them together. And you've heard good things about the deck builder, Hogwarts Battle. Yes, it was probably the second deck builder I ever got to play, so it's very thematic. It's set up as the 7 years, so each year it kind of walks you through learning a deck builder. So the first year is a very easy setup, but each year you're defeating certain villains, potentially adding more, and then they're adding more allies or spells to your deck as you play. And so you can play it through, and like every time you set up, you can decide which year you want to start at or play at. So you don't have it's almost a quasi legacy style game, and that there's 7 years. You can play it as year 1, then 2, then 3, and so on. Keep adding things and mixing it up, or just open it up and decide which year you want to play it as, because it's that simple in the taking apart and putting it back. So I do recommend that, in that it's not one of those legacy games that you tear things apart or anything like that. Definitely, it's a great game for those who enjoy Harry Potter theme. I'll put it that way. It's not super in depth, but I definitely enjoyed it a lot, and because I enjoy Harry Potter a lot, and when I first picked up the game, we played through all 7 years essentially, as the legacy style of it can work in like 2 or 3 nights, because we played one, then played the next, and then so on. So definitely a solid game. There's a few quirks to it, and that if you're used to the movie or the books, you might see a few characters or a few things slightly out of order or imperfect, but it's not hard to play. It's definitely great for families with slightly older kids that can work together, because it is a co-op deck building game. So, but solid game. I'm glad I had the sleeves for it now. Ooh, pardon me. So I'll be able to put all those sleeves into the game later. And then, last but not least, from the op, some more dice. So we have the Game of Thrones, the Iron Anniversary premium dice set, and then we'll open those first. This says it's for ages 18 plus. I assume they just say that because of the theme of Game of Thrones in general. I'm not sure how dice can be ages 18 and up. I'll try to take a look at each side before we show it on camera, just in case there's something weird going on. But I don't think there's anything adult encased in this package. So I can get it open now. This one is not. There's the tape. I was about to say it wasn't taped shut, but I found the tape. It's just taped on the side. I didn't expect to see the tape. There we go. So this does say that a custom custom dice in a faux leather bag should be in this. Let's go look here and see. So you pull it out. Okay, yeah. So there's our little leather bag. It's actually printed with Game of Thrones on it. See, the inside of that bag is nice soft leather. Outside is a little tie on it. And we have our 6 die. You like dice, you're part dice goblin. Well, welcome to the club. I openly admit I am a dice goblin, and that I love dice and collect them randomly. My collection is not huge, but I definitely have more than some people would expect. So, again, the quality, the weight of the dice are kind of like the other ones we've opened already. These are actually engraved and filled. These are not printed. So with the amount of detail on that is, I'm a little surprised they engraved these, to be honest. But it's a nice color to the die, nice fill on it, easy to read numbers. Appears the majority of these symbols are like the different houses from Game of Thrones. Is it marbled? It's a little hard to tell. I'm not necessarily sure I would say marbled. It kind of is, but it's not an extreme marble color. But as you can see, the different houses, house seals, I guess you would call it, from Game of Thrones. I watched a few seasons of it. I never actually finished it. Based on what I heard with the last season, it's probably good I didn't watch the end. Just cream or caramel look. Kind of a close to a caramelish look. It's not a solid, that's for sure, but the marble cream caramel is very light. It's hard to see it until you look close and get the light to hit it right. It's almost a gloss finish on the out of these. They're not sharp point. They're rounded edges. But you can tell the plastic is very shiny and that reflects light quite easily. See if I can. You can kind of see it there. How easily it reflects light. There you go. You can see how it's. They have a nice feel when you roll them. But again, this is going to be one of those sets you're likely going to get as a collector set of some sort. You're not likely to use it very often. The numbers are easy to read on them with the filled black number at the bottom. But again, just in general, a fun collector style set. They fit nicely into this bag. Let's see how well. Yep, they push down. So you can easily, as you can see, 3 wide. So I went too tall on that. You can pinch that down and then tie it off. Very simple dice bag that works well for what it is. Sounds like I have good friends at the op. Well, to be honest, I don't know them super well yet, but I'm part of a media group on Facebook for reviewers and such, and someone from the op was on there asking for anyone who wanted to kind of show off and do media stuff for some of their new games, which was Cuphead and the Goonies game. And so they were like, hey, connect if you want to show off some of this stuff. And I connected through email, be like, hey, I'd be interested, this is the stuff I do. And they're like, awesome, we love the idea of your channel and the slogan, and be like, let us know what type of stuff you'd like to cover. I'll be like, I'm willing to cover this stuff, more than happy to cover those new ones. And they just sent me a box of stuff, and I was like, awesome. Like I was almost overwhelmed with how much they were willing to send me, like for the first basically content box to help cover stuff for them. So I was very grateful for everything they sent me, and very glad that they're investing in me. So hopefully I'm doing everything I can to invest back in them and show off their stuff appropriately. Of course, I'm going to do everything I can to be honest about everything I open and review. I'm not going to say something's great if it's poor quality. Yeah, of course, I hope I can foster a great relationship with them and as many other people who want to work with me and like what I do. Kind of like I've over the past year, I streamed a lot with Chris, and we showed off a lot of stuff for XYZ games, and that relationship has blossomed, and they're loving what I'm doing, and then getting to just hang out with them at conventions has been awesome too. So it's really it really is about fostering those relationships and just being open and honest about what you do. It's not about, oh, I'm going to give everything I open a glowing review. It is, I'm going to try to attempt to review the quality. And yeah, and one of the fun things about reviewing quality and stuff is some of my unboxings take a lot longer. Like, I think the one I did for XYZ on their Arch Ravels game, that unboxing was almost an hour long. And if you think about it, like most people who do unboxings, that's maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. Some do like 1 minute unboxings, but mine was almost an hour long. But XYZ loved it because I went in depth about the design decisions for both graphics and inclusivity and inserts and stuff like that. And so finding a niche to really understand different parts of gaming and taking the time to just kind of be myself, and this is what I'm doing. And it's cool to see how people are reacting to it and willing to say, hey, we like what you're doing, so thank you. It's awesome to see. Yeah, Arch Ravels is a great kind of relaxing style resource management game. I wouldn't call it very heavy, but the theming on it is wonderful. The inclusivity that they integrated into it was great. So yes, definitely, I hope you enjoy getting to play Arch Ravels. Hopefully you can play with your family as well. And it looks like the last thing I have left to unbox from the op is Disney Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas premium dice set in a tin. So there should be a tin in here with these dice. Kind of perfect time to open this up because of course we're just over a week away from Christmas. Now, you can argue, is The Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie? Or is it a Christmas movie? Maybe it's both. But ultimately, some fun looking dice. I can already see like the different pip faces and how cool they've done it. And James says both. I agree. It is definitely both. It's one of those great movies to transition you between Halloween and Christmas because it has some great qualities for both. Let's pop this box open and really check out these dice. Now there was one other game I did receive from the op that I did not actually unbox live on camera. I need to edit the video and confirm with my brother because I did an unboxing with my nephew, so my brother's son, who helped me unbox Disney Munchkin. So before I upload it to the internet, I'll be confirming with his parents that they're okay that I upload that, of course, because he just turned 11 or 12. So, of course, you want to be mindful of having younger kids online in general for their safety. So I'm going to make sure before I post that video that they're okay with it. So pulling this out of the box, it's already in the tin with foam around it, which is really nice to see. This is not a hinged tin, it is a separate lid, which is more than okay. A lot of times you get these that are hinged, so you can't open it all the way or have issues opening it. So snap lid on that nice aluminum tin. Kind of have this purple hue on the face of it, calling it a premium dice set. Indeed, with the custom dice, a lot of times they are premium indeed. The back of it, we have Oogie Boogie holding the dice. So let's see how well these come out, if we have to pull them out or if they'll pop out. Okay, so they don't just drop out. They don't shake out. So let's see if we can get them to come out. There we go. So you kind of have to pinch, get in around that foam to grab these. So these are engraved and ink filled. So we got, they're basically almost like, it's almost like a skull that they're mimicking on here, where the pips are almost like the eyes of the skull. So we got one on here. This one really looks like a skull. You got the 2 dot pips, kind of a little bit of a nose, almost like the teeth in the skull right there. You got the 3 pips, and they just took away the nose, so it's not confusing. Let's see, where's the 4? So here's the 4. It's a little off, not quite looking like a skull as much anymore. We got the 2 eyes, you got the nose, almost like the teeth, but then just your standard 4 pip layout. And it looks like with this one, they kind of kept with the 2 eyes and the nose for a pip, and then just 2 extra pips off in the corners. Then our 6 pip, really getting away from that skull look, but it's still interesting to see. Nose in the middle, almost like it's a pinched cheek with the 2 pips in the middle and then 2 pips down low. But some nice weight to them. You can hear they sound quite nice. I can't comment fully on if these are balanced in the way they weighted because of the custom engraving they've done on these. But again, this being a premium dice set, it's most likely going to be one of those collector edition style dice that you're not going to play with very often. So they do have a nice feel to roll with. Some of the a lot of the pip numbers are relatively easy to read, but more likely going to just keep it as a kind of a collector style setup where I can just see them all. Oh, where's my 5? Now that pushing those into the foam, it's giving me almost that nails on a chalkboard squeak. Not the most pleasant of sounds, but they do fit in there nicely. They're not going to just fall out because I'm shaking that hard, as you can see. They are not falling out. So they're going to be well protected in that, which is nice. And of course, again, a nice 10 premium dice set with its label on it saying what's in it. I could probably turn that around so the lid matches the back. Yes, and another nice, very nice dice set from the op.